all those whose lives have been impacted by the scourge of violence which has invaded our schools and torn apart communities and homes. Our presence here today, joining the students of Parkland, is a compelling message about the threat and power of democracy. Today, we replace apathy with action.
I'm a freshman this year at GW, and so I was still in high school when it happened, and my mom's a principal in elementary school, and my brother and sister are still in school, and so just knowing that that could happen at any moment is really, really scary, and makes you realize that something obviously needs to change, because that's not okay, and that could happen again.
I think the Parkland shooting was a wake-up call for a lot of people, because it felt like the issue was really far away in terms of school shootings, and a lot of people didn't have personal experience with that. But to see a lot of high schoolers go on camera, I think that really affected a lot of students around the country, because all of us are suddenly more afraid about going to school, and we're all more cautious about who we interact with. So it's really had a huge impact on my life, and I'm sure a lot of people's lives.
We're starting to see a shift in the House from a group that previously wouldn't even hear the issue brought up to now a committee based on gun violence and several bills being introduced which would protect against the violence that we're trying to stop.
Yeah, I think there needs to be more legislation on gun control. It's a serious issue, and I think politicians really aren't taking it seriously. And all we can do is lobby and push for change, but the people up top need to take action.
I think as a whole, it's really important that March for Our Lives let young people who care about an issue come together and work towards fixing it. A lot of the times I see an issue, but I'm not sure how to work towards fixing it, and I think giving people a platform like March for Our Lives to lobby their congressmen, to go and speak directly to people who can make a change is really important. And the fact that we've staged so many protests and that March for Our Lives is spread throughout the country and we're not letting people forget about gun violence is really important.
So I think that there's been progress in terms of people's minds and realizing the emergence of gun violence and the effect it has on the country, but I don't think there's been a lot of actual action, laws that have been enforced and passed. So I think that the discussion has to turn from just talking about it to actually enforcing and passing laws.
We may have introduced bills into the House, but none of them have been passed yet. We may have talked about community programs, but none of them have happened yet. None of them have been funded yet. That's the next step, making our talk into real action.
It's all around us. It happens every day, and people just don't seem to feel it anymore. People just don't seem to care. And I think that that's what's different about March for Our Lives. That's what's different about this movement.
Before Parkland, I was somebody who'd go on Twitter, who would argue with a couple of trolls. I had some views on gun violence, but I wasn't very educated. Since then, it's taken a real role in my life, and I've taken time to educate myself and to try and stand up and protect against that kind of future violence happening. It's a terrible, terrible thing that happened to our country, and it happens far too often. But it's exciting that so many people have come together and stood up and said no more.